This whole time I thought National Lampoon was a character. I had no idea it was a magazine. It's a magazine, guys. National Lampoon's Vacation is directed by Harold Ramis, written by John Hughes. It's based on his own short story Vacation 58 and stars Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo, Anthony Michael Hall, and Dana Barron. And National Lampoon's Vacation is about this family, the Griswolds, led by Clark Griswold, played by Chevy Chase. And he's this guy who just really wants to bring his family to Walley World, this theme park that's across the country, and he wants to drive them there just to spend time with them. But the farther they go, the more hijinks ensue. Now, I actually think that comedy is my weakest genre when it comes to critiquing, because ultimately comedy is very subjective. Does it make you laugh? Does it make you not laugh? Different things make different people laugh, and ultimately, to measure a good comedy, it's really just how funny is it to you. But there are film critics or film reviewers like me who have to kind of sit down and evaluate the other aspects of filmmaking that go into making a comedy. So we end up looking like, jaded people who don't find anything funny. But I assure you that is not the case, but that's just what I'm gonna try and do here. And I did enjoy National Lampoon's Vacation. It's a really strange and ultimately uneven movie, but I do think it benefits from some dedicated performances and some dark comedy that really hits. Now, just to get this out of the way, I really love the song Holiday Road by Lindsey Buckingham, which has become sort of like the series theme song, and it really is just this old school rock and roll song that captures the offbeat yet strangely heartfelt tone of this movie. And the other songs in the soundtrack are good too. They have some Ramones in there, and they have this other song by Lindsey Buckingham, Dancing Across the USA, which is, again, really gives off that 80s vibe. The editing here by Pembroke J. Herring makes Vacation come across as a sketch comedy, and this is usually a bad thing for comedy movies, because you're watching a movie, you expect something with one narrative instead of just chopped up pieces. But the more you watch Vacation, it becomes evident after a while that this is being done on purpose, that the intent was to kind of replicate how a road trip really is made up of these different moments, and pair this idea up with the script from John Hughes that manages to anchor everything on Clark's growing insanity, and you have something that's pretty unique. You have a movie that's ultimately chopped up into little pieces, but you can still follow an arc over it. And this ends up becoming a sort of satire on American vacations and, people trying to follow traditions no matter what. And Chevy Chase is great in this movie. He's very consistent all throughout. But what I like is that he doesn't play Clark like an idiot, but he's a really well-meaning guy who's just really very unfortunate and just really wants to take his family to Walley World no matter the cost, and he kind of goes crazy. Beverly D'Angelo plays his wife, and in these tandems that are the really funny guy and he needs to have a straight man. Beverly D'Angelo is that straight man, and she plays it really well. The kids, Anthony Michael Hall and Dana Barron, fit in surprisingly well too. I didn't really feel like they were trying to catch up to the acting of their parents. The other guest performances are good as well, especially Imogen Coca, who plays Aunt Edna, who ends up going on their vacation with them after a while. And she's just so funny. She's a firecracker. And the director, Harold Ramis, very slowly makes the Griswolds' various incidents darker and darker, and by the ending, he manages to ride that line really well of being kind of dark but still really funny. And I'll admit that I laughed the most during a certain scene with a dead body, and I felt kind of bad laughing about that. But, it was done very well, and the ending kind of comedic set piece they have, if I can call it that, is also kind of dark, but it's really funny. Of course, I do have issues with Vacation. As with any sketch comedy, some parts just aren't as good as the other parts. There's definitely still more good in this movie than bad, but the bad stuff really is kind of noticeable, and it does take quite a while for this movie to really get going. But when you meet Clark's relatives, that's when it doesn't stop its momentum. However, this start-stop pacing doesn't really allow for too many good gags to cross over into other scenes. The way it's edited, every time a scene ends, it feels like you're starting over again with a blank slate, and you don't really get a joke that manages to string together multiple scenes. It's always just isolated scenes. And this is the critic in me talking, but I really would have appreciated a bit more characterization for the kids, because they're basically interchangeable in this movie, and I think they would have been more memorable if they had individual personalities. But I still do think that National Lampoon's Vacation is a pretty good movie. I think it's something that is more geared towards American audiences, definitely, but for what it is, I still found it pretty funny. Alright, so those are my thoughts on National Lampoon's Vacation. Have you guys seen it? What do you think about it? Whether you agree with me or not, please leave me a comment. Let's have a conversation.